Stone Age Survival Lessons for Modern Resilience. Chapter 1. The Primal Blueprint of Stress. When we think about stress today, it's usually about emails piling up, bills to pay, or comparing our lives to others on social media. Our phones buzz, news feeds overwhelm us, and we often feel stretched too thin. But the strange thing is this: our brains are still running on Stone Age wiring. Your world is stripped down to essentials. Find food, find shelter, protect your tribe, and avoid becoming prey. Stress was immediate, sharp, and physical. If you spotted a predator, your heart raced, adrenaline surged, and you ran or fought. Once the threat passed, your body reset. Stress rose like a wave and then quickly faded away. Compare that to today. Our stress doesn't reset. Instead of a predator in the grass, we face an email inbox that never ends. Instead of a single fight for survival, we wrestle with vague, abstract worries: job security, relationships, debt, uncertainty about the future. The fight-or-flight response, once life-saving, now misfires in situations where there's nothing to run from and nothing to fight. So the pressure lingers, simmering beneath the surface. In the Stone Age, stress was tied directly to survival. A missed meal meant hunger. A misstep in the wild could mean danger. But these stresses had clear outcomes. You hunted and ate, or you went hungry. You spotted danger, or you didn't. And in between these intense moments, there was calm. Time for gathering, resting, storytelling, and connecting with others. Modern life rarely gives us that calm. Instead, we live in a constant low-level alarm state. Notifications, deadlines, and responsibilities keep the stress cycle running non-stop. Our ancestors may have faced saber-toothed tigers, but in a strange way, we face something harder: stress that never ends. The key to understanding resilience is realizing that our brains are designed for immediate challenges, not endless ones. In the Stone Age, stress was like a spark, intense but brief. Today, it's like a slow-burning fire that never goes out. And that's why anxiety, burnout, and exhaustion are so common. But here's the hopeful truth: the blueprint for balance is still within us. By looking at how our ancestors lived, facing stress in short bursts and then resetting, we can start to rewire our modern habits. They remind us that stress isn't the enemy. It's how long we carry it that matters. This primal blueprint shows us that resilience isn't about avoiding stress, it's about learning when to let go of it. And that lesson, drawn from our ancestors' daily lives, is the foundation for thriving in a world our brains weren't originally built to handle. Chapter 2. Ancient Wisdom for Modern Minds. When we think about survival today, it often feels complicated. We juggle dozens of tasks, scroll through endless notifications, and measure ourselves against impossible standards. But for our Stone Age ancestors, survival came down to a brutally simple list: food, shelter, and safety. Their lives were hard, yes, but also focused. And that simplicity held a kind of wisdom we can still learn from. Imagine waking up 30,000 years ago. The first thought wasn't about emails or bills. It was simple: where can I find food today? That clarity gave every action purpose. You gathered berries, tracked animals, or repaired a shelter. Nothing extra distracted you. Each day was framed around essential, tangible goals. This essentialist mindset may sound primitive, but it's exactly what modern psychology calls problem-focused coping: identifying a challenge, taking action, and resolving it. Our ancestors couldn't afford to overthink or procrastinate. If the fire went out, they relit it. If a storm destroyed a shelter, they rebuilt it. Direct action wasn't just useful, it was survival. Contrast that with today. When we're stressed, we often get caught in cycles of ruminations, pinning thoughts around problems we can't immediately solve. A caveman didn't waste energy worrying about whether the mammoth would show up next week. He focused on what could be done in the moment. That same approach can still transform our lives. When you feel overwhelmed, think like a hunter-gatherer. What is the single most important problem I can address right now? Can I break it into simple, solvable steps? By narrowing focus, you turn anxiety into action. Another piece of wisdom lies in limiting choices. For ancient humans, dinner was whatever they could catch or gather. There wasn't paralysis over hundreds of options. Today, Choice overload drains our mental energy from deciding what to wear, to scrolling endlessly for something to watch. Ironically, more options often mean more stress. Our ancestors teach us the power of simplifying, reducing decisions so we can save energy for what really matters. There's also the lesson of resourcefulness. Early humans didn't waste. Every part of an animal, every piece of stone was used. A bone became a tool, hide became clothing, and fire served countless roles. That mindset wasn't just frugal, it cultivated creativity. In today's world of abundance and waste, remembering that lesson can shift us toward gratitude, sustainability, and innovative problem solving. But perhaps the greatest wisdom lies in balance. By reclaiming that rhythm, focus, effort, then genuine rest, we align more closely with the human design that kept us alive for millennia. Ancient wisdom doesn't mean going back to caves or giving up technology. It means recognizing that simplicity, presence, and action-focused living are still hardwired into us. When we strip away the noise, we rediscover clarity. Chapter 3: The Power of Purpose and Presence. Imagine living in the Stone Age. Every moment mattered. If you were hunting, your focus was absolute. You had to read animal tracks, watch the wind, and notice the tiniest movement in the grass. If you were gathering plants, you needed to know which ones nourished and which ones poisoned. In that world, there was no space for distraction. A single mistake could cost you your life. This demanded a level of presence that many of us have lost. Today, we multitask, endlessly scrolling while eating, checking emails while talking to loved ones, and trying to juggle a dozen thoughts at once. But our brains aren't wired for this. They evolved to focus deeply on one thing at a time, and our ancestors mastered that skill because their survival depended on it. That intense presence also gave life a clear sense of purpose. A hunter knew why he was stalking an animal: to feed the tribe. A gatherer understood the importance of collecting roots and fruits. It was survival. Tasks weren't meaningless chores. They were essential contributions to life and community. Imagine how motivating it must have been to know that your work directly determined whether your people thrived. We can learn from that. Modern life often leaves us feeling directionless, caught in routines that feel more like obligations than meaningful pursuits. But when we realign our actions with purpose, whether it's caring for family, building something of value, or improving ourselves, we reclaim that same sense of drive. Purpose isn't just about survival anymore. It's about meaning. The presence of our ancestors also mirrors what we now call mindfulness. They didn't meditate in the way we do today, but they lived in a constant state of awareness, listening, watching, noticing. Every sound in the forest, every change in the wind mattered. That kind of deep attention is something we can bring back into our lives, not just for productivity, but for peace of mind. When you eat, be present with your food, just as our ancestors savored each hard-won meal. When you walk, pay attention to your surroundings, the way they did when moving silently through landscapes. When you work, pour your focus into one task at a time, the way they did when crafting tools or tending fires. This kind of presence grounds us, cutting through anxiety and distraction. There's also a resilience that comes from purpose and presence combined. A hunter who failed one day didn't collapse in despair. He tried again the next, because his purpose demanded it. Being present meant not obsessing over yesterday's mistakes, but focusing on the hunt in front of him. That mindset, grounded in the now, driven by purpose, is exactly what modern resilience requires. We don't face saber-toothed tigers, but we do face constant pressures. The lesson from the Stone Age is clear: stay present with the task at hand, and let purpose guide your energy. When we bring those two elements together, even the most overwhelming modern problems become manageable. Because resilience isn't about doing everything, it's about focusing on what truly matters, one step at a time. Chapter 4: Building Your Modern Tribe. If there's one truth about the Stone Age, it's this: no one survived alone. A single human, no matter how strong or clever, was no match for a charging mammoth or a pack of predators. But together, a tribe could thrive. Community wasn't a luxury, it was survival. Every role mattered. Some hunted, some gathered, some cared for children, while others tended fires or crafted tools. Survival was a collective effort, and this meant that connection, cooperation, and trust were at the very core of human life. Without a tribe, you were vulnerable. With one, you were powerful. Fast forward to today, and the picture looks very different. We live in crowded cities, scroll through endless feeds, and can message someone across the world in seconds. On paper, we're more connected than ever before, but in reality, many people feel isolated, lonelier than ever. The paradox of modern life is that while we're digitally linked to thousands, we often lack the deep, dependable bonds our ancestors relied on. That's where the Stone Age lesson becomes crucial. Build your tribe, not a massive network of acquaintances, but a small circle of real, meaningful relationships. People you can turn to when things get hard, and people who can turn to you. These connections don't just make life better, they strengthen resilience in powerful ways. Psychologists today confirm what our ancestors already knew. Strong social bonds protect against stress, anxiety, and even illness. When you feel supported, challenges feel lighter. When you have someone to share burdens with, survival, whether in the wilderness or in modern life, becomes easier. So how do we apply this wisdom? It starts with intention. For our ancestors, community was built through shared work, hunting, cooking, storytelling around fires. In our world, it requires effort to create moments of genuine connection. That might mean reaching out to a friend instead of just liking their post, sharing a meal, face to face, or joining a group where collaboration is real, not just virtual. Another lesson from the Stone Age tribe is reciprocity. Survival worked because everyone gave and everyone received. It wasn't about keeping score, it was about trust. In our modern lives, building a tribe means being that person others can rely on, not just seeking support when you need it. True resilience comes from relationships where giving and receiving flow naturally. Finally, the tribe gave something beyond survival, a sense of belonging. Around the fire, stories were told, songs were sung, and identities were shared. This created meaning and comfort in a dangerous world. Today, belonging is still one of our deepest human needs. Without it, stress grows heavier. With it, we feel grounded, valued, and strong. So, while we may not face the same physical threats as our ancestors, we still face the challenge of loneliness, isolation, and disconnection. Their solution remains our solution. Build your tribe. Because resilience doesn't come from standing alone, comes from standing together. Chapter 5. Resilience Reimagined, a prehistoric prescription. Resilience. It's a word we hear everywhere on podcasts, in self-help books, even in corporate workshops. But what does it actually mean? At its core, resilience is the ability to adapt, recover, and grow stronger in the face of challenges. And when it comes to resilience, no one mastered it better than our Stone Age ancestors. Think about it. Every single day was unpredictable. A sudden storm could destroy a shelter. A hunt could fail, leaving the group hungry. Injuries, predators, and shifting landscapes were constant threats. Yet humans didn't just endure, they adapted. They learned to bend without breaking. They turned failures into lessons, discomfort into growth, and danger into innovation. That is resilience in its purest form. Now, let's bring that wisdom into our modern world. Today, most of us aren't worried about outrunning a lion or surviving a freezing night in the wilderness. Instead, we battle deadlines, financial pressure, information overload, and emotional struggles. The stress is real, but the threats are different. Still, the same prehistoric blueprint for resilience can guide us through these challenges. The first lesson is adaptability. In the Stone Age, when food sources disappeared, tribes moved. When old tools no longer worked, they invented new ones. They never clung to how things used to be. They adjusted to reality. In modern life, adaptability means being open to change, whether that's shifting careers, learning new skills, or rethinking habits that no longer serve us. The ability to pivot is what turns obstacles into opportunities. The second lesson is embracing discomfort. For our ancestors, discomfort was unavoidable. Hunger, cold, and exhaustion were part of daily life. But those struggles made them stronger, sharper, and more prepared for the next challenge. Today, we spend so much energy avoiding discomfort that we weaken our resilience. What if, instead, we leaned into small challenges, cold showers, exercise, fasting, or even tackling difficult conversations? These modern discomforts can train the mind and body to handle bigger struggles with more confidence. The third lesson is purposeful action. In the Stone Age, survival demanded clarity. You hunted, gathered, built, or protected. Every action mattered. Today, we're often paralyzed by distractions and endless options. But resilience comes from focusing on what truly matters, identifying your survival priorities. Ask yourself, what's essential for me and my community? What small, purposeful steps can I take today? By acting with intent, we replace chaos with direction. And finally, resilience was never a solo act. It was rooted in community. A tribe survived because its members lifted each other up. Resilience, then, isn't just personal, it's collective. When we share burdens, support each other, and grow together, we multiply our strength. So here's the prehistoric prescription for modern resilience. Adapt, embrace discomfort, act with purpose, and lean on your tribe. These aren't just survival strategies from the past. They are timeless tools for thriving in today's unpredictable world. Resilience isn't something we need to invent. It's already written in our DNA, carried forward from the fires and struggles of the Stone Age. All we need to do is remember and apply it. And there you have it, our journey from the Stone Age to the modern age, from sharp stones to smartphones, from firelit caves to digital screens. One truth remains unshakable. Resilience has always been the heartbeat of humanity. Our ancestors didn't just survive, they thrived, because they adapted, they embraced challenge, and they leaned on each other. Those same lessons can guide us today, no matter how overwhelming the world may feel. So, the next time stress creeps in, remember you carry within you the wisdom of countless generations. You are built for resilience. You are stronger than you think. If you found this journey inspiring, don't keep it to yourself. Hit that like button. Share this video with a friend who needs a little encouragement. And subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into the lessons our past can teach us today. Together, we're not just learning history, we're building strength for the future. Until next time, stay resilient.